Hi, I'm Jazz Obrecht, and welcome to my Talking Guitar podcast with rock guitarist extraordinaire Mike Campbell. The interview you're about to hear took place on May 27th, 1986, in Hollywood, California. At that time, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers had just finished a world tour with Bob Dylan, and they'd begun working on what would become their Let Me Up, I've Had Enough album. My mission that day was to interview both Tom Petty and Mike Campbell. My time with Mike came first, and as soon as we finished, I did the interview with Tom, which is already available on my YouTube channel. As you'll hear, Mike and I cover many facets of his artistry. Mike spoke softly throughout our interview, and occasionally we'd hear the sound of traffic on the street outside. At about the 6-minute mark, I move the recorder closer to Mike and the sound gets better, so hang in there with it. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Are you familiar with Guitar Player?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I read it all the time.
Well, I just saw your video, and I must say I was really impressed.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. How much work's involved with gearing up for the Dylan tour? For you particularly?
Well, for this leg of the tour, there won't be that much. I think we did most of the work for the Australian tour. We sort of learned to play and learned a lot of the songs. So this time we're just going to go in for 2 weeks and kind of just relearn a few things. A little polish that, not too polished, but.
Did he have definite ideas about what he wanted you to play?
On certain songs, yeah, but he's pretty loose. He kind of tells you more with a look than with a. He's not too specific with what he wants, but you can tell if he likes it or not.
How to look?
Kind of a look he's got. It's hard to describe, but on certain things he'd say, I want you to sound like this or sound like that. Most of the time, then he'll just start playing. Everybody follows him. It's, other times it's different. He rarely plays the same song exactly the same. So there's no point in trying to work out a part on most of the stuff. You sort of have to go with however it feels.
Really? That's interesting. I wanted to cover a little, make sure I mention your studio stuff outside of the band. If you had to come up with the essential Mike Campbell guitar parts, do you have tracks you pick?
What do you mean?
Your favorite of the studio work you've done outside of Tom Petty?
Well, outside of the group? Well, probably the Boys of Summer. I haven't done that many things outside the group, but that one was a lot of fun. That one came out real good. I thought. Had a lot of input into that one. But there's only been a few things I've done outside the group, so there's not much to pick from really.
What's your favorite stuff within the band?
Well, I like right now. I like the stuff we're doing. It's not out yet. We've been working on a new album, and I'm really excited about that. And that's my favorite stuff right now.
Yeah, the next note, not the last, huh?
Yeah, once it's out, kind of go to.
I noticed one of your main stylistic traits are you tend to. It seems you tend to underplay rather than overplay. A sort of tasteful understatement. Did you go through a period of editing your playing?
No, I never thought about it like that. I just kind of play the way I play. I like to play on the vocal. I don't like to. I'm not a real what you would call a virtuoso type player. I don't. Most of the playing I've done is with Tom in the groups we've been in together, and I've always tried to just sort of play around with the song and the way he writes. I think that the song is more important than any of the playing or solos. And so my approach is always just to try and play the right part that fits around the way he's singing or the sort of story he's telling. And if there's a place for to let go, I'll try to stick something in there. But most of the time, I just try to not get in the way of the song. It's the way I've always done it.
Have you ever come up with more than one hook for a tune and then had to choose?
I'm sure I have. I couldn't give you a specific example. Usually it's the first idea we hit on is usually the best one. Almost always. 95% of the time we come up with a book or a riff or an idea. And as soon as we try to make it better, we usually end up going back to the first one and saying, yeah, that was the right inspiration for this.
Yeah. Huh. What would you assess as your strengths and limitations as a musician?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of limitations. I think maybe one of my strengths as a musician is possibly stringing chord structures together and putting in a rhythm that can be framed into a song. That's one of my favorite things to do as opposed to intricate guitar solo type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a lot of limitations in my playing that I'm working on constantly, trying to improve on that. I don't think I'm what you would consider maybe a flashy player. I don't have much talent in that area as far as playing fast and with a lot of flashy technique. And I'm not sure I really want to work on that area that much, but if that's a limit. If there's a limitation that comes to mind immediately, that might be the one. Uh, that's kind of an open question.
Are the different elements of your style, the psychedelic playing and the blues and the slide and the 60s type of solos, are they a reflection of your heroes as a child?
Yeah, it must be. Yeah. I grew up through the 60s when I was learning to play guitar, and there was a lot of stuff on the radio at that time that I got excited about. Like saying the Beatles, Stones,
Uh-huh.
Chuck Berry, uh, and all the blues players that when I was first learning, those were some of the first things I picked up the records. So
Were there any particular solos that were milestones for you?
milestones. There's a lot. I liked.
I'll move this a little closer. Give my transcriber a break.
Sweet Little 16 was real good. Of course, Johnny Be Good, And then there's just so many. I hate to pick one thing out. I liked the first Paul Butterfield Blues Band with Michael Bloomfield on guitar. I really liked that a lot.
Is that East West?
There's one before that, which was called the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. And I remember getting that record, and that was kind of a revelation. Just trying to learn how he did that. There were bends and things that just it took me a while. I was throwing the record down and really trying to figure it out. That was I was into that record for quite a while, just trying to figure out what he was doing. And a lot of the stuff on the Beatles records, so just the early Beatles records, the way George Harrison played was pretty. And then there's some stuff that Roger McGuinn did when the Byrds came out, the 12-string thing. It was really, I got real into that. I got real inspired by that. There's so many. That whole era was really guitar. It was a guitar-oriented time period. Yeah, well, I could list hundreds of things that cut me off.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm sorry.
Well, Jimi Hendrix too. There's that whole thing. He was pretty inspiring.
Do you know what you're doing in musical terms?
Well, I can read. I know how to read music very slowly, but it's something I never use. It's like I go by ear. Instinct. That's what you mean. I don't like. What do you mean? Like when playing, do I know what note I'm playing, what time signature I'm playing in?
Yeah, some people have a strong theoretical background and then they apply it to their playing.
No, I don't have much background theoretically. I remember trying to get into a music school once, and they wouldn't let me in because I didn't have the background, the training. So I just have to go by ear, kind of an ear player.
Have you noticed significant changes in your style and your evolution since you started playing with Tom Petty?
Well, I've been playing with him so long. It's like the first band I was ever in was with Tom.
Yeah.
So I don't really, I don't know if I can answer that question.
Could you describe how you work out who plays what guitar parts?
Well, usually when Tom shows us a song he's written, he'll play the rhythm and sing it at the same time, and I'll try to come up with either a riff or a counter rhythm part or support the rhythm part that he's trying to play while he's singing. And then on some of the songs that I've written with Tom, I'll come in where I have sort of a certain guitar arrangement in mind on a demo cassette or something, and then it'll work backwards. He'll listen to what I've done, and then maybe he'll start to play one of the parts that I had worked out and put his own thing onto it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it sort of evolved into something. There's no formula really. It's sort of whatever is left, or whatever's needed. You know, whatever's not doing that part, and we'll just take up the slack, try to piece it together.
Uh-huh. What did you contribute to Refugee and You Got Lucky?
Those were demos or songs that I had written the music at home, and I brought them into the band, and we kind of built it up from the original idea that I had, and with a few changes. Those two songs pretty well. We tried to match the demo. It sort of had something that worked, and then Tom wrote the song over it, and we wanted to recreate it exactly as close as we could. In some ways we made it better. In some ways we kind of went past the original. But I like the way these two came out. But they were both kind of started at my house and then kind of built on.
Did you work on the words?
No, Tom did all the words by himself. He's real good at that. I let him do what he's good at.
I'm interested in a couple of the hooks you came up with these songs. Like, do you remember when you got the one for Breakdown?
Yeah, I remember that. We had the song, and we were trying to come up with a guitar part, and it wasn't working. I remember I picked up a bottleneck, and originally was playing it on the bottleneck, and then that's how I came up with the line. And then and then Tom said that's the right melody. But then we decided the bottleneck was too bluesy or something. So when we went back out to do it, I just played the part without the bottleneck, and it just sort of seemed to work. It was just one of those things you stumbled onto.
What about the Don't Do Me one?
Something like that.
Yeah.
That was most of the ideas on that one came from Tom. I didn't have a whole lot of input on that one. That was something he kind of brought in, and we just kind of, it was a track we just played, and there weren't a lot of overdubs in that. It's playing, playing, playing. That was kind of Tom's riff. We just kind of built upon that.
Does he have any influence, or do the other members of the band, on what solos you come up with?
Oh yeah, you mentioned You Got Lucky before. The solo in the middle of that, the kind of down.
Right.
That was kind of his idea. Because we had the track pretty well finished, and we wanted to put some sort of unique solo on there. He said, "Why don't you do something like a Clint Eastwood kind of sounding thing with a vibrato on it?"
Rico, coming.
Yeah. So we went out there, and that was sort of his initial idea to go in that direction. And stumbled onto that one. Or sometimes, on occasion he'll have a part in mind. He'll sing it. But most of the time, we're just on the solos. We'll just kind of go out and just wing it, and hopefully we just land something that's sort of spontaneous. Those are usually the best ones.
Do you ever get an idea for a solo or for a melodic hook when you don't have an instrument in your hand?
Yeah, a lot of times. What I like to do is when they're working on the vocals, I'll just sit there and listen and just sort of sing parts in my mind, and then a lot of that way. By the time they say, "Okay, let's put a guitar on," I've already got a few ideas in mind. Sometimes they all get thrown out. They go, no, it's all wrong. just go for something. So sometimes yeah, and sometimes no. But I do like to try and sing along in my mind and try to come up with lines.
You play keyboard as well, right?
Very limitedly. Yeah, I'm not technically good, but I can piece little things together.
How has the addition of horns affected your playing on stage? Have you had to change
It
your
was
parts?
fun. It was really fun. It sort of freed things up a lot. It was a whole new texture. I found that I didn't have to play as full all the time. You know, I could let up, and the horns would come and hit the chord,
Right.
and it wouldn't sound empty if I didn't play a full chord. And I could play a part of a chord or put an overture in there. I mean, it was real interesting.
Are you as comfortable in the studio as you are on stage?
Um, yeah, it's pretty even. On stage, it's a, you know, there's all the energy and the adrenaline level is so up. You know, that it's maybe you're less likely to get uptight. In the studio, sometimes you can get under the headphones and you feel like you're under a microscope,
Yeah.
and you can get a little subconscious.
Has it gotten easier for you as time's gone by?
Yeah, you get used to it. You know, you get used to it, or you just learn not to think about it.
Yeah. What's your method of recording solos?
Well, there is no method really. Just you just the most important thing I found is that just it's just the attitude. You know, just go out there with the attitude. That that'll usually make up for any shortcomings in the performance or the part. You know, if you just go out there and fall into the right attitude of the song. You know, and like I said, not to be uptight about that you're under the headphones and everybody's listening and they can hear every little mistake. You know, it's going to be on a
Yeah.
record forever, and you just have to not think about that. You just have to sort of get into the song.
Will you take several passes at one solo?
Sometimes it depends. You know, but it's like a lot of times we'll get one and then we'll say, okay, let's double it, or let's keep that and see if we can do one better, and we may spend some time on it. But like 95% of the time, you go back to the first one for some reason because it honestly just seems to have a freshness about it.
Will you plan a solo out in advance?
Well, like the one on You Got Lucky, for instance, was sort of planned out. We wanted it to sound a certain way, and we came up with the melody. And then we decided, well, we want it to be just like this. There's no extra frills, and we just get one that's real good and simple.
Yeah.
And then that was one instance where it was all worked out. But most of the time, um, we don't work that way. Most of the time, we just go out and just try to wing one.
Mhm.
You can fall flat on your face that way too.
Or you can come up with something
Yeah, my
surprising.
favorite ones are the ones where they said go, and I really didn't know what was going to happen. And I just kind of went for it. Everybody went, "Oh, that was perfect." You know, and then I had to go back and listen to hear what it was, you know, because I didn't went by so fast.
Have you ever had to relearn a solo once you've done it?
Well, a few times. Well, the time that comes into play is for instance, if I write a song at home and I do a demo, you know, work and say and play a few guitars and do a demo to show how I think the song should go, and then we go in and we learn it and decide, okay, that's great. We want to do it just like this.
Mm-hmm.
So we get all the big equipment up in the studio and we go, okay, now do it just like you did it at home. Sometimes that's the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
I have to go back and try to learn exactly what I did. And then once I learn it, then I have to try to perform it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I start thinking about it, it doesn't feel quite the same. I play all the same notes, but it doesn't feel like when I was just sitting at home. It's like, whatever felt right and came off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing.
Do you know when you play your best?
What do you mean?
What sort of mental state you're in, or
I
the
can
awareness
tell. I
you
can
have
tell
of
when I'm
what you're doing?
playing to the best of my ability, but I can't always make it happen when I want to.
I see.
I don't know. It still seems like most of my highest moments are live. You know, there's certain nights where everything just feels right and the band's playing great,
Yeah.
and I just know that when it comes time for the solo, that it's going to be right because I'm ready for it. You know,
Yeah.
I just know that nothing can go wrong because we're just on that thing. You know,
Yeah.
and those, you know, sometimes in the studio you get that feeling, but usually it's a little bit more of a work atmosphere. It's not quite as exciting or as excited, you know, as you're there in front of people. And it's just it happening right there in the sky. You know.
Can you take off and do something different with your solo?
Live
Yeah,
or
live.
yeah, in certain areas, you know, it's a little different every night. and it has to be, And then it just depends. Certain songs don't lend themselves to that type of thing, but other songs do.
Yeah.
Say a song like "Refugee," say at the end of it, where it's just everybody's bashing, and there's this guitar solo that sort of signals the end of the song.
Right.
I have a lot of freedom each night to sort of try to take it to a new place within limitations, and I can't just go on an 18-minute excursion and say, "Just follow me, guys. I'll be back in a few minutes,"
Nod and change keys.
But I think it's necessary to sort of not play this in a situation like that, to sort of stretch yourself a little bit, to push the whole thing. Because if you play the same thing every night the same way, it's just going to get dull.
Yeah.
So whenever I get bored, I just it's like, I got to do something different. I don't care if it's good or bad. Usually, if it's different, it's usually better just because you're interested.
Yeah. Do you play stuff by yourself that would never be used with the band? Is there a side of you?
Yeah, well, at home, I have a studio in my house now, and it's a real kick of mine. I have a 24 track now, so I can really get crazy.
All right.
And I like to write music of all styles, but it's strange because I mean anything that I write that I think is good, I consider for the band, because the band it is my best outlet, my biggest outlet for anything I might want to do. And it's strange because sometimes I'll come up with maybe an odd piece of music and I'll think, well, they'll never want to do this. It's too weird.
Yeah.
And then they'll go, oh, that's great. We want to do that one today. Or sometimes I'll come up with something, oh, this is perfect for the band. You're going to love this. And they're going, no, we don't want to do that type of thing. So I never know. Some of the times the weirdest stuff is the stuff that they like and stuff. But there is a lot of stuff that I put on tape and it can never get used by the group. This means, they get 9 songs an album.
Yeah.
Do one album with us maybe every year and a half. So there's a lot of music that piles up, and some of it's garbage, some of it's real good that could be used for other things maybe.
You mentioned the spontaneous solos. Could you give a couple of examples?
Well, one I always remember is on our second album, was a song called "Too Much Ain't Enough." It had just a go for it thing. I had no idea what I was going to do, and I thought that came out pretty good. And there's some songs that are just live. That, this is some of my favorites where you're cutting the track, and instead of just playing the rhythm during the solo and going back later to put one on, you just play it right then. Like on Down the Torpedoes, "Century City" was a song like that.
Yeah.
I just kind of went for it and stumbled into some unknown lands there, and came out kind of on one foot, but it worked.
Yeah.
My favorite solos are the one where I'll start going in sort of a familiar vein, and I'll start to go somewhere, and I'll almost paint myself in a corner, like, oh, now how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
It's like, and then you sort of you're forced to do something to get out of it, and when it works, it's great. And there's a couple of examples that would work like that.
Have you ever lost your confidence on stage, or made a mistake that was?
Yeah, when you fall down, it shakes your confidence. I've tripped and hit the deck a couple of times. It kind of shocks you into a slight reevaluation. But actually, confidence is a big part of how good you play. If you lose your confidence, you kind of lost. How are you going to play good if you're worried about if you're playing good? It's something you sort of got to condition yourself to walk out there with the confidence that you are going to play good and to make yourself play good, not accept anything but playing good. You got to have your confidence and your attitude. So, I mean, I could cite places or certain instances where I might have lost it for a moment, maybe due to circumstances out of my control, but for the most part, that's something that you can't even consider. You don't consider losing your confidence. You must have it at all times.
Do you feel that your playing is always expanding?
I hope so. I think so.
Do you play every day?
No, I don't play every day. I get to points where I need to walk away from it. But I do play a lot. when I'm off the road. And some days I may not be actually playing the guitar, but I'll be in the studio working up a track or fiddling with knobs or doing certain things sort of in an engineering production level the equipment. Um, and then there's other days when I just play the guitar. I don't even bother record it. I just play it just for the fun of it. And I do tend to get so wrapped up in it that I'll reach a point where I just have to take a vacation from music. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to see a guitar for 3 or 4 days. Then I come back and it's real fresh. Yeah.
Are you an instrument and equipment collector?
I used to be, and not so much anymore. I haven't bought a guitar in a long time.
What do you look for in a guitar?
Something that sounds good and feels good. I've got the few guitars I've got. I really like, and I think the only thing that would inspire me to buy another guitar is if I stumbled onto a real old one that was in really nice condition, which I haven't done that in a long time. It wasn't like $5,000. I never spent a lot of money on a guitar. I just can't. It's against my religion to spend thousands of dollars for something that I don't think I ever spent more than $400 or $500 for a guitar. Just the thought of that is just against my. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't feel right somehow. But these days, I don't know. You always have, it's hard to find a deal.
Do any of the guitars you use on stage date back to the beginnings of the band?
Yeah, I have a broadcaster that I use quite a bit.
Is that the blonde guitar?
Yeah, it's all natural wood. And the what?
You played it on the first couple of songs on the video of the show?
I don't know. I don't remember that specifically. But this broadcaster I used it on Breakdown. I used it on a lot of the first album, and I still use it. I almost hate to take it on the road because it is unreplaceable.
What's that from 49?
It's somewhere between 48, 49, and 51. It's just like a Telecaster, but they call it a broadcaster.
Right.
And that's my favorite.
That's the one you recorded Breakdown with?
Yeah, it's the solo on Breakdown. Almost that whole first album was recorded on that guitar, and the second album.
For the solo, on that particular solo, do you remember how you had the pickup set up and all that? On
Breakdown? It was, I think it was on like the bass pickup for the intro. In the middle, I went to the treble pickup. It's the bass, the old, rhythm treble,
Yeah. Huh.
But that's a good guitar. It's a good all-around guitar. Even it's always for rhythm solos, whatever. It always works. Anytime I get stuck and can't get a sound, I just plug that one in and get something.
Now you have a red. Is it a Telly with a Bigsby or something?
That one actually belongs to Tom. That Telly. It's called the Red Dog.
The Red Dog.
Yeah. it's got quite a history. It's one that Tom is sort of quit playing, and so we traded a few things back and forth, and so I grabbed that one because he wasn't using it. But,
is that a Bigsby on it?
Yeah, it is.
Boy, that's something you don't see every day.
Yeah. It used to have this great button that was built into it. It had like some sort of power boost, which is once it broke once, and I asked him to fix it, and it was never the same again. But it had this incredible fuzz power boost button on it. It was just blow speakers up. But
now you use a Les Paul sometimes as well, right?
Yeah, I have a gold top that I've had since the first album. I like a lot, and I've got a white one that tunes up a little better than I use for certain songs.
Are these older instruments?
They're not that old. I think they're like mid-60s, so they're not vintage or anything.
Do you modify your guitars?
No, the only modification I've done I got a 56 Tele a while back, and I put a second string bender on it, Gene Parsons string bender on it. But I've never changed the pickups or anything.
Do you use the B bender?
I started using it on the Dylan tour. It was the first time I had it. Well, I had it on the Plantation tour, but I didn't quite have a handle on it. On the Dylan tour, I got a chance to sort of fool around with it and start to learn how to use it. It's a great toy, though. It's a great thing
Yeah.
for when you're running out of ideas and just push down and make something new happen.
Yeah. Huh. What's your from your guitar on stage? What does your signal go through? Do you trace its route?
Well, it's real simple. I've got, I guess I have a Roland delay unit that I use. I used to use an Echoplex.
Do you go wireless to those?
Well, we have on two guitars. I think I had a wireless,
Uh-huh.
and on the Les Paul, the wireless tends to add a bit of high end. So on the say for instance, on the Les Paul, which is a little warmer sounding, it puts a little bit of edge back to it with the right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got, for the most part, I just go through that one echo unit, which I'll use just say for a solo
The Roland?
section. Yeah. And there's a couple of songs where I had on the last tour where I worked in a wah-wah pedal, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Like in Spike, I was using a wah-wah pedal.
Right.
And I think that's all I had. And, I try to keep it real simple. The amp I got is this old AC30. It sounds pretty good without any effects on
Is that your only amp?
it. It's the only amp I have it's the only amp I use. I have a backup, but that's the only one I use on stage. Just mic it up to the
When you do the You Got Lucky solo on, could you describe that technique?
PA. I call it the rip boing technique.
Rip roaring?
Rip boing.
Boing?
Boing.
Boing?
Well,
Oh.
it's a band joke. The rip boing technique.
Uh-huh.
It's just the old vibrato, just.
You rock it as you're playing though, right?
Well, you just it's kind of all in one motion. It's just kind of underwater sounding.
With the Red Dog.
The Red Dog.
But does that go through any effects devices?
I think I just had an echo on it. Just a little bit of echo.
From an Echoplex?
No, the Roland. Yeah.
Really?
I used to use the Echoplex, which I liked a lot, but I got this new one that sounded a little quieter with this, so I've been using that lately.
Would you describe your slide technique that you use in Spike?
Well, it's just a bottle.
Broken bottle thing?
It's what kind of bottle is it? I think it's a one-a-day vitamin bottle. They're always finding different ones because they keep
No
changing.
more Coracine bottles.
Yeah, I used to have one of those. Those were the popular ones a while back, but they don't make those anymore. I don't know what kind it is I'm using them, but it's got a ridge on it, so they must have gotten it from some kind of pills.
What finger do you use on it?
It's a little one.
Do you damp behind it?
Yeah, to an extent. With electric guitar, it's not that crucial.
Yeah.
To dampen it. I can dampen it down here with my palm too, but I like to use it on this finger so I can use the other three for recording. I just got used to using it on this finger.
Do you use it on a guitar with a higher action?
No, I use it on. I'm pretty well used to use it. It's better if it's not real low action. But I think on Spike I was using it on the Broadcaster, which has semi-high action. It's real comfortable.
Have you played slide for a long while?
Yeah, off and on. I didn't start out playing slide, but I had a friend in Florida I used to play with who sort of used to play it a lot, and I picked it up from him. And I like to play slide a lot because it's a real expressive way. It's real expressive.
Oh yeah. Do you ever play in open tunings?
Yeah, I like to do that too. I don't think I was doing anything on the last tour open tuning.
Did you play Southern Accents in an open tuning?
Southern Accents was I was playing an old Rickenbacker lap steel, and that was an open tune. It was tuned to F, I think, or something.
Yeah, I wondered if you used that with a volume pedal or something.
Yeah, I did. I had a volume pedal on that one to sort of hide the clinkers. It's handy if you start to hit a bad note, you just pull it up. It's mostly to get a steel guitar effect.
Right.
Slow it up.
Does that go through the same setup as your guitar?
Yeah, it all goes through the same Echo Plex, the Roland Echo unit.
Do you remember the type of volume pedal?
What was
You've got readers who write in and ask.
No, it's embarrassing. I don't know. I think it was Morley or something like that. The roadie got it for me.
What's your right hand picking technique? How do you hold the pick? And
I hold it between the thumb and first finger, and I like to use the other fingers to pick along with it.
do you follow up and down strokes if you're going to play faster?
It just depends. I can play, whatever the song calls for.
Yeah. Do you have
It's
any?
kind of sloppy. It's not like a worked out technique. I just kind of stick fingers in where they're needed.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh, you're not dealing with Segovia here.
Do you ever play without a pick?
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot lately, actually. There's some stuff on the new album where I've been playing with just my thumb and fingers, and I finally gotten to where I could coordinate them enough to get some good sounds out of it.
Do you play much acoustic guitar?
A little. I like to play it. I don't. There's not that much with the band. There's really a time for an acoustic, but I have a Ovation 12 string that I like a lot. That I've used in quite a bit of stuff. When I'm at home a lot, I'll play around the acoustic just because it's there and you have to plug it in.
Yeah. In your version of "Don't Bring Me Down," how did you duplicate the fuzz tone so well? That was great.
I think actually it was our bass player Ron Blair had a Gibson fuzz tone. I wish I still had it. And we were doing that in rehearsal, and he just happened to have it with him, so that became, I plugged that in, and it just sounded right. Yeah, plus there's some vibrato in the amp on that one. That's back on the first couple of tours we were using these Vox Super Beatles, which were a little bigger and louder than what we're doing now. And they had this great built-in vibrato, so between the fuzz tone and the vibrato, it created a monster kind of white noise sound. Yeah.
What's the appeal of the AC30s? Not being an Englishman.
Well, the thing I like about them is that you can get a real big sound, and they almost sound like, I don't know if there is a limiter built into it, but they have this sound that's very even and very mid-rangey, and you can get a real like raunchy sound or a clean sound, but without having to get real loud. A lot of amps, when you get the little amps, you just can't get the sound out of it. But this one, you can get the sound without having to blast your ears out.
Where will you commonly set your controls for a concert?
The volume is usually set like between 2 and 3, depending on the songs. And to be honest, I don't know where the presence and all the other stuff is set.
Do you have a roadie who takes care of that? Or?
Yeah, we worked it out in rehearsal and put marks on it. But they're confusing because when you look at them, the knobs work backwards. From what you would think.
Oh, they go
on mine it does anyway. So I always would get confused because I'd turn it the wrong way. So I just put little marks on it so I could go right to it. So I don't know if it's on 6 or 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It'll sound the same in most places, though?
Yeah, it's real consistent. It really is.
In the song "Don't Come Around Here No More," when you do it live, what do you use for the tone on that?
Well, we tried to do it with a sitar, and live I just couldn't get a sound out of it. I had one of those coral sitars, and it just every time I'd get it to sound right, it'd be right on the edge of feeding back, and it's got to be a real headache. So I tried it out with a 12 string, and for the first part of it, and that seemed to work real good. And at the end, where there's a solo, I switched over to this real cheap guitar that it's about a $30 guitar that I got from the video we did. They did this thing in the video where they dropped all these cheap guitars and had them break on the floor.
Uh-huh.
And this is one that didn't break, and so I just took it home and threw some paint on it and plugged it in. And it sounded good for just a psychedelic with a wah-wah pedal.
Did you use that in the concert?
Yeah, at the end.
Do you know what kind of guitar that was?
It's a Magnum Ferrari 2. It's made in Korea. It's just this cheap piece of wood, but it just, for that particular song, that song is such an oddball song. It just seemed right.
Yeah, it sure looks right. You play Rickenbackers as well, right?
Yeah, I have a 12-string that I like a lot, and I have a black one that Tom uses. That's John Lennon style.
Do you know what model that is?
God, I couldn't tell you. I don't know the number on it, but it's the 3 pickup black 2-horn solid body that he uses, and I have the one that's on the cover of Torpedoes. It's the 12-string.
Yeah. What do you use a Ricky for that you couldn't like use a Fender or a Gibson on?
Well, the 12-string, it just has a unique. I always use the 12-string Ricky just because I like the sound of it. It just has a unique sound. The 6-string, it just has a sound that's sort of between the Fender and the Gibson. It's hard to describe. It's just really just it has a unique sound of its own. You know, each guitar has a sound. The Rick just has that honk, kind of natural honk about it. It's good.
What's your lap steel?
I didn't know what it was for a long time. It turns out it's a Rickenbacker.
Is it one of the ones
It's
from
one
the
of the
30s?
Yeah, it's one of those original. Like I guess the first electric guitar ever made was a lap steel,
A Bakelite.
aluminum, or whatever they used, or
Yeah.
steel and river. It's a solid metal, weighs a ton.
That's what you have?
Yeah. And a friend of mine got it at a junk store for $100. And I didn't know what it was for a long time. The pickup was real quiet, so I took it in to someone and they rewired it and told me it was a Rickenbacker. So.
Huh. Did you keep that tune standard or?
It was, well, the song we were doing, Southern Accents, was in the key of F. So I just had to tune up like an E tuning, tune up to F.
That's what
to
you
make
have
it
in
easy.
concert?
Yeah. I only use it on the one song, so.
Was one of the most distinctive aspects of your playing is your finger vibrato and the way you bend. Could you describe how you do that for a young person who's just learning how to?
Well, the way when I first got into that was that Paul Butterfield album that I told you about with Mike Bloomfield.
Right.
That's I used to, because until then I didn't know about bending strings. It didn't occur to me that you could push a string up and
Right.
choke it. And when I hit on that, it was like, now I've seen my vision. And I just always liked that sound, and I don't know how to describe it other than just, when I do it, I use my first and second finger to help push to get more strength.
Mm-hmm.
And the trick is first of all to be able to push up a whole note and hit the note, without going past it, or
Right.
without sounding flat, just to be able to get there. And then the next secret is to hit the note and then just to waver it, right around it. And it's something that you can't really describe. You just have to sort of fool
Does it
around
come
with
more from the wrist or the elbow the way you do it?
It's kind of mostly from the wrist, I think. It's a combination of both. It's just kind of I think everybody sort of has their own kind of vibrato. You just have to sort of feel it the way you feel it.
Yeah. Do you do anything special to your guitars, like do you have replacement pickups or special stringing requirements?
No, just that one that I put the string bender on it.
Do you own any Stratocasters?
Yeah, I have a Strat that Tom uses most of the time because it's a real good rhythm guitar. In fact, I hardly ever get to play it anymore. But I got that for $200 a long time ago.
Oh, you've got some deals.
Yeah, that's why I just can't see paying $2,500 for a vintage Les Paul. I mean, I just can't get past it. Too spoiled, I guess.
Yeah. Is Pack Up the Plantation a good representation of the live show?
It was a good representation of the show that year.
Uh-huh. Why is the video it's different from the album, right?
What do you mean?
There's different cuts on it. Several, as I recall.
Well, I guess that's the ones that sounded good. Oh, I know what you mean. Well, it's just when we went to mix it, well, I'll start with the album first of all. When we went to mix the album, there were certain tracks that we just felt that without seeing what was going on, it just didn't hold your interest. So we found other tracks that seemed musically to stand up for a record. And when we went to do the video, there were certain tracks that, if you're watching it, it just seemed more entertaining that way. Like there's two different things, seeing something as it's being played,
Yeah.
or just listening, with nothing but your imagination. So that was the reason for that.
Has your work as a producer taught you anything about recording guitar?
Yeah, I'm always learning. It's it's sometimes it can be really hard to get a guitar sound, but I've learned a few tricks. These new devices they have out now called Rockmans can be real handy for certain types of things. Yeah, the Tom Schultz thing. Those are real handy if you're having trouble. You can usually plug that in and get a sound pretty quick. But yeah, I've learned a lot of things over the years about miking. I'm still learning though.
I've heard players say sometimes it's better to play quieter to get a bigger sound on the record.
Yeah, you just never know. It's like every song, you learn one technique and you think, oh, great, now I know how to get guitar sounds. And then with another song, you try it and it just doesn't work for some reason. It depends on the ambience of the song or how much space there is in the song for the guitar to breathe. Sometimes you have to go direct. Sometimes you have to go to a big amp. Sometimes you have to go to a little amp. At least with me, I've never found one sound that always works.
Yeah. Do you remember any parts being particularly difficult to get a good sound on?
Yeah, I can remember back on Torpedoes when we were working with, first time we worked with Jimmy Iovine as a producer. We spent a lot of time on the guitar sounds, like on Refugee.
Right.
And we just really wanted a hard sound, but not like a heavy metal sound. And it took us a long time to just sort of find the right thing that fit the song. And we went around a lot of corners trying to find it. I remember at one time we just, out of desperation, we just hooked up. We had every amp ever invented. We had like a twin reverb, a Marshall stack, a Vox,
Yeah.
a Roland. We had all these amps. We just turned them all on at once.
Right.
And of course that sounded like shit. And then I went down and tried a little Champ amp, and that didn't work. And eventually I think we ended up with a Marshall. But a lot of that too has to do with, I learned that you can get a sound up and you have to sort of be sensitive to how you play it. Like if you have a real loud amp sound, if you overplay it, it's just going to sound like garbage. But if you learn to just palm it or just hit the string a certain way, you can make it sound, really big with a little bit of effort.
Right. It's the same with effects in a way too, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of it has to come from the player. You can hook up the best amp, best guitar in the world. And if you're not sensitive to the right way to attack the string for a certain effect, it won't sound right. That's mostly what I've learned is that most of it's got to come from me, not from the engineer or the equipment.
Yeah, I think a lot of young kids put too much emphasis on equipment. Are there any players you're excited about?
New players?
Yeah.
Not really. I haven't heard anything lately that really inspired me to go out and buy it just to hear the guitar.
Is working with Dylan causing any change in your approach?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely inspiring. Just I don't know about technique wise, but just on a playing level, it's very inspiring. I have learned quite a lot from watching the way he plays guitar. He's a very knowledgeable guitar player with his chording. He knows positions on the guitar that I wouldn't have thought of for making certain chords. And he has a rhythm feel, kind of a there's a way to play. You can play a straight beat and you can play a shuffle at the same tempo, and then there's that thing in between where it's sort of straight, but it's also sort of not really shuffling, but it's sort of like swinging in the middle. And Bob's real good at that. And I've learned a lot from watching him how he has a real interesting way of approaching the rhythm of the song. And it's just sort of in between, which creates a nice swing.
How would you describe Tom's style?
Tom is a real The thing I like best about the way Tom plays is when he sings and plays at the same time. He has a way of playing the guitar against the vocal. It's just right. He sticks little rhythm things in, and when he's singing, he backs off and plays like he's copying his own the guitar to the vocal, and he balances stuff out real good. He's real good at that.
Does he ever play solos?
Yeah, he does. He can play. He has a real good feel for solos, and he has a real. He can play like in a Chuck Berry, John Lennon style soloing, which is it's it's not like Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
But it's in that style. He's got a great touch. He's real good at it.
Have you ever worked out unison parts?
I don't think so. Rhythm,
Yeah.
but not solo or that I can think of off the top of my head. We play the same way. It's usually against each other. Like there's a hole. This guitar will pick one. But we don't really work out our guitar too. It's not like Wayne and Dick.
My man.
It's kind of more like Hank and Joe.
Hank and Joe. Have you ever toured with other bands?
No, it's the only band I've ever been in, really. That's why the Bob Dylan thing is so much fun, I think, for all of us, because it's a chance to play with someone else and not be the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
And it's really refreshing.
What are your recording plans for 86?
Well, we've already started an album, and we have quite a few tracks finished. And as soon as we get back from the road, we're going to finish those up and try to have an album out by the end of the year.
Have you recorded with Dylan?
We recorded one track that we were going to use for our album, and as it turned out, we didn't need the track, and he liked it, so he sang over it, and he's going to put it on his record.
Oh, great.
And we haven't actually gone to the studio to cut a new track, but I think he has an album coming out that's accepted he has already cut.
Was he doing All Along the Watchtower concert?
He did it one night.
Boy, that
It was really fun. There's so many songs. Please, Bob, play this one.
Were you a fan?
Yeah, I still am.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the more inspiring people I've ever heard.
He's one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah.
Tom Petty and Mike Campbell continued to play together until Tom's death in October 2017. Mike went on to play for Fleetwood Mac during their 2018-2019 World Tour, and he continues to make music as the leader of the Dirty Knobs. Before signing off, I'd like to thank my podcast producer, Nick Hunt, and the fine folks at the UNC Southern Folk Life Collection. This podcast is copyright 2025 by Jazz Obrecht. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.